Hi, I'm John Galante, president of AE Ventures and host for the Builder Innovator Housing Transformation Webcast. What you're about to view is the second in a series of interviews with leaders of ECI Software Solutions Residential Construction. This interview is with Bob Kane, business unit leader for ECI's Build Tools and Bolt systems, and focuses on Bolt, which is a work and business management tool also known as an enterprise resource planning system, purpose-built for trade contractors in the residential construction industry. We focus a lot on how Bolt delivers efficiencies and quality improvements through collaborations with home builders. And that's something ECI knows a lot about, as they offer suites of software to home building companies under brands like LotView, the Builder CRM Lasso, InSearch Digital Design Center Tech, Builder ERP Mark systems for high volume builders, and the aforementioned Build Tools for small and medium-sized builders. Before we dive into the interview, you should know a bit more about ECI as a whole. This is a 25-year-old business, privately held, headquartered in Dallas, Texas, with more than 2,000 employees and offices around the world. In addition to serving home builders and their trade contractors, ECI develops solutions for manufacturers, distributors and supply houses, field service companies, and office technology dealers. That diversity of applications pays off for builders and trade contractors as it enables ECI to bring concepts and work routines from other process and efficiency-driven businesses into the construction industry. And ECI's size and scale as a solution developer means they have the resources to evaluate and effectively apply newer technologies like AI, cloud computing, IoT, and more as they ripen for the residential construction industry. One program note on something to look for in the interview. With good digital solutions developed by quality players like ECI, you don't just get functional software. You get expert assistance refining and streamlining your processes. Not just management school textbook process engineering, but the industry-specific stuff that can make a difference in a builder or trade contracting business. That's because ECI has home building experts on their team, and they work with hundreds of builders and trade contractors every day to understand where they waste time, duplicate effort, make mistakes, and lose customers and money, and how to solve those problems. So a big part of the benefit of working with a company like ECI is getting to stand on the shoulders of the lessons learned by another company very much like yours.
Thanks for having me today, John, and welcome everybody to the session. I've been working in this industry for a little over 25 years. I've been working directly with home builders and now trade contractors, and there's been a lot that has happened. There's been a lot to help the communication and everything that goes into building a house and all of the individuals that are involved. There's been a lot to go into that communication from a digital standpoint. However, if you look at McKinsey's Global Institute of Digitalization Index here, this kind of lays out a number of different industries that we may be familiar with here that drive our economy today. So if we look at the top, we have things like media and professional services. There's a lot of green there. The green is good. That means there's a lot of things that are happening here that are digitized, okay? When you start getting into the yellow portion, that's kind of a little bit of a transitionary period. And red is not so good. Red means you're sort of behind in comparison to those that are not. And so if you kind of look over here to the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see that construction in general comes in right above agriculture and hunting. So there's a lot of red in there. There's some areas where we're starting to turn the table a little bit, but I think the point of this is that if we can focus on digitizing this industry just a little bit more, it's going to really start to set this industry apart. It's going to really start to help the communication that goes into building a home and undergoing large construction projects. And that's kind of what I'm excited to talk a little bit about today.
Yeah. So we're ahead of Farmer Brown and Daniel Boone is what it looks like. But it's better than that, right? We have made some, and just like digitization for digitization's sake, Let's just speak a little bit, Bob, to the core benefits, really kind of, efficiency, quality.
Just to kind of simply put it at a very high level, if I am building a home and I have a lot of people that are involved to help me build the home, I can give them a piece of paper, I can call them on the phone, and I can tell them what's happening. But really, I'm the middle person, right? So I may not get it right. There may be changes. I may not get the timing correct. If we can get that in a digital environment, now you've eliminated paper, you've eliminated giving information out that is incorrect. You can make changes on a dime, and you can go and communicate that to where people are in that moment. So they don't have to drive to get the piece of paper. They don't have to answer your call in between other calls. So what it does is it takes you to the next level of communication. And then when we think about managing the cost and looking at our finances and processing change orders, and the list goes on and on and on. These are all very time dominant type of scenarios where if we get them wrong, we can really deliver the wrong thing, which can be extremely costly for a business and a relationship between the builders and the trades and the suppliers that are involved.
Let's talk about some of the specific challenges that are facing the trade contractor, the trade partner specifically.
Yeah, so a trade is one aspect. If we're talking about a new construction project here, there are multiple companies that are involved, and we call those, for this presentation purpose, we'll call them trade contractors. So there's going to be multiple trade contractors involved in the project, and they all have their piece. They all have their specialty. So the builder is going to communicate with each of those trade contractors on that specialty piece, and they're going to do it in usually one or two forms. It's either a general agreement that's defined in the beginning, or it's in the form of a purchase order. And the purchase order is really going to lay out exactly all the details that need to happen. So the trade contractor is going to receive that purchase order from a builder. That's important. That's going to allow the trade contractor to align their resources and then come out to the builder's site and accomplish what needs to be accomplished and ensure that it is the correct thing that needs to be done and that the money is correct so that the trade knows exactly how much they're going to get paid. These trade businesses are typically small businesses. They have some back office staff, and then they have crews themselves that are out doing the work. And so sometimes that trade needs to get the purchase order and then align their crews out in the field to go do the work. Sometimes the people that are running these trade businesses, maybe they didn't go to school for business management. Sometimes they grow up in the trade themselves and they evolve into running a business, and they're thrown right into this operational manufacturing type of business process. So you have a little bit of a lack of training. You have some chaotic scenarios that may happen if technology is not included, and you may end up with different tools like spreadsheets or paper that kind of get in there and just kind of mix things up sometimes and cause some mistakes. I kind of want to go back to what you had said in the beginning of this presentation, John. Builders have been working on this for a while now. Over 20 years, they've been implementing systems that will allow each of the individual builders to communicate more effectively with their buyers and their trade contractors. Yeah. And so this kind of lays out a little bit of a day in the life of a trade. And let's assume that the builder has some systems in place because they've been doing this for a while. Well, there's still some challenges. There's still supply chain challenges for both the builders and the trades. And there's cost increases for both. There's schedule communication and inaccuracy, and there's labor constraints for both the builders and the trades. And so this kind of points that out. And so if we assume that these builders have adopted technology to make their businesses better, a lot of times what you run into is that the builder will have a one-way communication telling the trade what to do. But remember, there are still all of these challenges for the trade. So the trade still needs to buy their own material. The trade still deals with their own commodity price increases. They still deal with not only receiving a scheduled date from a builder, but they have to go schedule all of their crews and their labor to go do the work that needs to be done. And then when those dates change, there's an issue with trying to make sure that their crews are kept up with the changes. And then just being able to make sure that we can get labor to be able to go out and do what needs to be done. And so these are the types of challenges that I see, that we see here today, that even when the builders have some digitalization in place, the trades are still running into these issues.
What are you guys doing about it?
There's a couple of things, right? So we have a product, we have a number of products, I should say. In the residential home construction division, we supply products for the builders to become more efficient and digitize and run their business. We also have products out there for the trade contractors that work for the individual builders. And so if we have a software solution in place, one of those products, the name of the product is Bolt. It was developed by trade contractors for trade contractors. And we are really working with a number of trades that work with some of our builder customers and beyond to be able to look at these solutions and get these solutions in place. And so there's some real benefits if you can, as a trade, put some software in place to better run your business. Some of those benefits are really to improve the relations between the builder that you work for. So the relations between builders, trades, and suppliers. When we think about the supplier chain disruption that we've been going through for a number of years, and we think about all the changes that are involved, there's a lot of moving parts. So we really need to be able to define what it is we need, what we're delivering, where is it in the ordering process, how can the labor that we have deliver it in a timely fashion. If we can do those things and we can overcome the scheduling challenges, we can digitize pictures and documents, we can keep our communications in an app, in software, in what we call the cloud, so that it is running over the internet, it's backed up. We can do those types of things and we can integrate them in with the business functionality that actually happens every day from these trades. We're going to really accomplish a few things, right? We're going to have major reductions in waste, which means we're not going to order things we don't need, right? We're going to use the things that we need. We'll have reductions in expenses that will come along with reductions in waste and labor waste. So we'll be more efficient. So that will help our bottom line. We'll have schedule cycle time increases, which means that from a positive perspective, we'll be on top of our schedules and reduce the amount of time it takes to accomplish what we need to accomplish, because we won't be sending people out to jobs that don't need to go out on that day. We won't be making schedule mistakes. We'll be aligning the correct resources with the correct job at the correct time to accomplish the goals we need. And what we've seen in our experience is when you are more organized, you have the information available in a digital format, people have access to it, you're going to have less job site accidents. So you're going to be a better business with lower risk and better margins.
How would you characterize this solution for the trade contractor? Is it the equivalent of an ERP for a small business trade contractor, or is it really more of a project management and collaboration interface tool with the builder?
I would classify it as an ERP because what ends up happening is it's going to run every aspect of the operation of the business for the trade. Yeah. It's going to connect into an accounting solution, but everything that you need is going to be contained within this cloud-based product. So it will run the entire enterprise for all needs.
Okay. And ERPs, let's spell that out for folks who aren't familiar with it, right? That's enterprise resource planning. And really, a lot of these tool sets were engineered initially in the manufacturing world and then made their way into other types of businesses. And that's kind of variations on this theme. And you've labeled it and custom configured it really in alignment with their business systems. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's 100% accurate. And I think it's a really good point that you have there. ECI in general, which is the company that I represent, we're in 4 major verticals. So we're in manufacturing. That's our largest vertical. Manufacturing is where the terminology of ERP came from. It's from an economical standpoint. That's where we looked at to become more efficient as we evolved through multiple evolutions of our economy. And so today, what we focus on at ECI is small to medium-sized businesses, and we focus on these types of solutions to help them run an efficient business so they can compete with the larger players out there that have systems like this in place.
Okay, what's next?
I'm going to give everybody a little bit of a visual of what we run into when we typically are introduced to a trade contractor's business. We ask them a few questions in the beginning and we say, where do you store job site information? Where's your job folders at? Where do they live? And they're typically in envelopes like this. They're created on spreadsheets and documents, and they're printed. And they have a filing structure that goes along with them. And these are passed out to the field, and people have them in place. When they bring them back to the office and they're storing these jobs for service work that may happen down the road or historical reference, they're going into filing cabinets in the business. And this is a very common practice that we see with our trades.
So is it 75% of the trade contractors out there that are kind of 1978 paper based on all of this stuff, or is it 25%? Where would you ballpark that?
It really is 75% or more. We see solutions where Google Calendar and Excel spreadsheets or software that was designed for another industry, like a commercial construction trade or a home builder is being used at the trade. We'll see some of that. It's not being used effectively, but this is usually backing it up when those solutions are in place, because this is what they're relying on the majority of the time when we come in to talk to these trades.
Yeah. And so 25% are doing something with digitization of their business. Does it tend to be the larger trade contractors?
Yeah, so we see it. We see technology that's in place more on the larger when they're spreading out and they're trying to centralize, and we also see it from a trade perspective more in what we call the M&Ps, the mechanical trades. So electrical, plumbing, HVAC, low voltage. We tend to see those trades a little bit more technologically advanced from a business perspective in using solutions.
Because they've got more pieces and parts to put together. They've got more complexity than a framing contractor, right?
That's right.
But are you seeing some of the smaller players who maybe have more of a digital native mentality adopting these tool sets as well?
What we typically see with the smaller players is sometimes you do see that they have some things in place, and that usually is a result of them coming from a larger organization and bringing whatever that technology was there into their organization. So this is common because a builder will tell the trade, I need you to show up for low voltage rough-in or rough electric or whatever we want to call it for the individual trade on Tuesday. And then that trade has to think about what's going on Tuesday, and they have to look at their resources that they have in the field. And so whiteboards like this are typically how they receive the date from the builder and how they think about their resources that they are going to apply to the job. And then when the date changes from a builder, they have to be able to go back to this whiteboard, make the changes, send out their text messages, update their Google calendars. And so that is the most common application of schedule management that we see when we go into these businesses. And we go into 100 of these businesses a month. So it's very common, and there's a lot of volume that we see to back this up. This is kind of what the operation looks like when we get a little deeper. So somebody says, sure, I'd like to sign up for a demonstration. Well, we're going to ask some questions about how things work, and you have the person holding the bread on fire, and the office is chaotic. And when you really ask them the questions and they really tell you the answers out loud, it's a little bit comical, because this is, I equate it to back pain, John. They're just living with it. They know it's a part of the business. They're dealing with it the best way they can. And that really puts us in a position to be able to show them that there really is a solution out there to make that pain go away. Businesses like this that have been dealing with the back pain, they don't really believe that there is a solution out there that can help them. They haven't seen it yet. They haven't really witnessed how technology in general can go to the next level, outside of like the situation I was talking about earlier, where maybe somebody came from a larger trade business and now they're in a smaller business trying to grow it, and they're bringing some of the technology and some of the solutions with them. But typically the mindset is there's no software that's designed for my company's processes. That's like the most common thing that we run into. What we think about here, and I'll just kind of go through some common challenges. The way we kind of look at it here is, So Bolt can be customized per the trade. We have over 51 different unique trades that are using Bolt, and it's configurable behind the scenes. So whether you're an electrician, a low voltage vendor, a plumber, or you're a cleaner, or you install garage doors, we know how to configure it behind the scenes so that it will run exactly how we've seen other businesses like you run. And so that allows you to get into a scenario where the system is designed by the trades, for the trades, customized by the trade type. We run into too where organizing the purchase orders is a conversation where they say, where the trades will let us know that they'll receive an email, and logging into a builder's portal is a little bit time consuming. And so they got to go through these emails. They got to log into a builder portal. They got to pull the purchase orders down. Other builders will email them. Other builders will give them pieces of paper.
Right.
So getting these POs together is a time-consuming process. And if you think about all the supply chain challenges that we've had and the changes that buyers make, the number of changes going into this become challenging as well.
Bob,
So
there's a lot of variations on the theme on purchasing with integrating that with the builders, right? Like, is getting the specifics of the purchasing method part of the secret sauce here in terms of how you guys, work to ease the pain here?
yeah, it really can be. And what you're pointing out definitely complicates the process. There are builders out there that focus very hard on being itemized. And so what that means is the builder will focus on ordering everything they possibly can at the quantity unit level. And they will itemize exactly what is needed. And they will order that. So they'll need a purchase order to order it from a supplier distributor. And then they'll have a trade just come in for the service work part of it. And then there are other builders out there that they leave it up to the trade in a scenario that they call turnkey. So low voltage, electrical, plumbing. These are examples, HVAC, examples of the common trades that we see that are what we call turnkey, where those individual trades need to go out and get the product that needs to be delivered into the house because the builder's purchasing department typically does not get into that level of detail due to the complexity and the complex nature of those individual trades. But builders are different. It's a very key thing that you pointed out there. So trades need to be able to understand how to source this themselves and to be able to work in a turnkey environment with builders. And they need to be able to keep up with how that agreement works, what they need to do, and what the document authorizing them to move forward means and how they move that through their operation.
I mean, are you guys able to document those business rules in the software so it becomes less, you talked about agreements, kind of driving the work. Well, most agreements go in a drawer and they aren't referenced outside of the, initial signing of the agreement. Getting these business rules really embedded from a process and a, action planning perspective would probably relieve a lot of pain for a lot of trade contractors, is my guess.
Yeah, it sure does. So if you have a solution in place as a trade and you sign that agreement with a builder that's going to build in volume, or you're signing a one job scenario with a custom builder, you can actually replicate and implement what you've just agreed to into Bolt, so that when the builder does communicate with you, the draw types are exactly how you've defined them in your contractual agreement with the builder. So you know exactly what to expect, and the business rules in place will allow you to then flow that through to the rest of your business.
Is that a do-it-yourself sort of functionality for the trade contractor once they've mastered the platform? Or are you guys involved with that? Or do you teach them how to do that as they get initiated?
So they'll learn how to do it themselves. And we have a very structured implementation process that learns exactly how things work today and where the challenges are. Yeah. And then over a 2-month period of time, the trade contractor business will transform into this digital solution with process in place to be able to continue to replicate as other jobs come up.
So how many trade subcontractors do you guys have using this platform? Hundreds, right?
We have hundreds on the Bolt platform and about 15,000 on the builder portal communicating with our builder platform.
Wow. So you're able to see common scenarios and then really kind of build routines that simplify this work for somebody may not have encountered some sort of buying profile with a builder in the past, but you might have libraries of routines that they could apply on.
That's absolutely correct. So let's say we have 50 electrical contractors using Bolt. We take the commonality of that configuration. So when we sign the next electrician, we can start at that point. We can customize at that point, and we have the best practices that have been known to work through the process, and we can help that electrician implement those processes that work well with the software that we've seen work with other businesses as we go.
I think this is a common misconception in the whole software world, and maybe it's the way
that prospective customers learn about it. You look at the platform, you're like, oh, well, those are pretty pictures, and that's interesting how the screens progress and what it prints out. And it kind of de-emphasizes the subject matter expertise that gets embedded or can be embedded into these software tools. So it's not just these operation efficiencies, the reliability of storing it digitally. It's about the ability to tap into process level expertise that's specific to the industry as part of that solution as well.
When you think about running an individual small business in this industry, it can be frightening at times because you don't have a boss telling you exactly what to do. And if you don't have a mentor that's been through there already, you're inventing as you go. And that should not be the way that this runs. So for ECI, we have over 30,000 customers using small business solutions that we have out there. And so we know this inside and out, that as an entrepreneur, as a small business, the benefit that you get out of really demoing a product like this and considering implementing it into your business is you're going to see how businesses just like you, and lots of them just like you, how the best practices of those businesses have been bottled up into one solution. And the people that you're working with on the ECI team have been working with hundreds of companies like you that can help you with those best practices as they go through.
And so the people who are building these solutions behind the scenes, I think, again, technology industry does its own disservice. It's like, oh, we got these data scientists and algorithms. And yeah, you got that. But that's not all that's being discussed, right? That
Right.
is instrumental to getting to a solution as it gets developed in an industry specific way. And probably you guys are able to borrow from other verticals too. Like we were talking about manufacturers, like, hey, this is a stumper. Is there something on the manufacturing side of things that we can apply to this challenge that we're facing in construction?
Software businesses in general can fall into the trap of, getting a little too deep into what AI may do for us. And all that stuff's important, and what big data may do for us. And all that stuff is important. But I like to say that we don't fall into the trap of being overly consumed with that. We get excited about making things more efficient for the end user while ensuring that we have vision down the roadmap of incorporating the tools that can take in the latest and greatest to maybe improve on a larger scale. But we get really excited about saving time, saving money, and making things easier for the individual customers using our solutions on a day-to-day basis.
You have more boxes to take us through?
This one is basically just organizing the purchase orders. If I'm a trade and I work for multiple builders, or maybe I work for a builder in multiple developments, organizing those purchase orders and organizing my crews can be a challenge. We hear sometimes my team spends too much time setting up job folders and plans. So if you remember some of those pictures I was showing you earlier, those job folders can really be manila folders, right? So Bolt has templates that are set up, to your point earlier, John, in advance that will free up hours and hours so that you can have quick job site folder creation. And then keeping up with changing schedules. Bolt has access to real-time schedules. There's integrations with ERPs out there, like our own ERP, Mark Systems. There's a really tight integration with DR Horton. And so the schedule flow and communication back and forth is really automated. And then, sometimes we hear that the office struggles to know what's happening in the field until the end of the day. And that leads back to the paper discussion that we had in the very beginning. If I'm on paper, I really don't understand what's happening until the paper's turned in, until something is turned into the office. But if I have a digital solution in place like Bolt, that's going to give you communication access across jobs instantly, in real time. And what it's going to do is it's going to set up instant communication for you. We thought that it might be good to play a little testimonial from one of our customers. And there's plenty of testimonials on our website, but we thought taking a minute and a half here to go through this might be a good next step.
My name is Brian Hartley, and I'm a division manager for IES Residential. I manage the division here in McKinney, Texas. We've grown from the time we started using Bolt by 75%, and yet I haven't had to increase my staff by 75%. Each person on my team is actually able to handle more of a workload because they can do it more efficiently using the Bolt app. 2016, we started approximately 2,748 jobs. This year, in 2022, we're on pace to do 4,800 jobs. We know what status the house is in on a daily basis. It's updated even perhaps multiple times throughout the day. It prevents us from pulling orders early. It also prevents us from pulling duplicate orders. We're able to eliminate some of those dry runs, some of those duplicate service calls that have already been done. Everything that they need is always right there at their fingertips in that iPad. They don't have to dig around through that binder or find their yellow notepad. They're not searching for blueprints in their house files in a file cabinet in the back room. All that information is just more easily accessible to them on a daily basis wherever they're at. I would recommend Bolt to others because it's made us super efficient. In a time when we're busier than we've ever been, it's more difficult to get manpower. We're able to grow and increase revenues without having to increase our staff needs as much, and it's made us a lot more efficient and profitable because of that. It also gives us all the extra tools that we didn't have before, the ability to have documents and photographs in an electronic file as opposed to a paper file. Because it's designed around the new construction industry, it makes trades that are in the new construction industry more efficient, more profitable, and makes their jobs easier to manage.
Can we dig in a little deeper, Bob, on the integration with the builder software side of things?
There are a number of platforms out there based on that different builders are using. So some of the larger national builders may have their own systems that they're using. Some of them are using a product that we have, Mark Systems, and some are using other products out there. And so what we try to do is we try to come up with ways of making it easier for the trades who are maybe working with a portal. So let's kind of start there for a second. A lot of these systems have what's called a portal in common. So that means that the trade has to log into the portal and they have to pull down their purchase orders. Logging into those portals and keeping track of that information, that can get a little bit overwhelming for the trade. So each of those portals will have, say, for example, a purchase order available on it. A lot of those systems can also email the purchase order out. Bolt is integrated with many of those systems, so that when the purchase order is created, the purchase order just appears in Bolt, and it's in a section of builder orders where we can go and we can manage it. And for those systems that we're not integrated with for whatever reason, the majority of those systems can produce the purchase order in an email. And so Bolt has a special email address that the builder can put into their system and say, just always email this email address. And when that happens, the purchase order goes into the exact spot that it would for a system that we were tightly integrated with. And so that's how a lot of our customers keep up with purchase orders. Yeah. From a scheduling standpoint, the builder will say, this is the date that we would like you to come out for the electrical rough or the low voltage rough-in. And that date may change over time. And so there's some communication that needs to go back and forth on whether or not we accept it. There may be changes. There is the ability to take that date and then schedule our crews. And so those dates come over for the systems that we're integrated with, and they can also come over in a similar fashion through an email if we're not, or we can manually keep up with it if we're getting, say, text messages from a system that is not integrated. But it's keeping up with that date and then aligning the resources from that point forward.
I mean, what is the gain for a subcontractor that has this sort of integrated communications platform on the POs and schedules versus the paper-based? Does the paper-based company have someone that's logging in and checking stuff on an ongoing basis on these portals and really isn't getting the real-time feeds and the disposition of that information to the right parties in the company? And I mean, what does that cost? What's lost?
So I think as a business, you want to make sure that you're always focusing on being easy to do business with. And whether you're working with a consumer or a builder, you want to be easy to do business with. Mm-hmm. And like we talked about before, I think the builders have been going through an evolution of trying to become the builder of choice and easier to do business with so that they can attract more trades and improve their business. Mm-hmm. It's time for the trades to do the same right now. So I think that if you are a trade contractor that's working on paper and you are you're getting maybe digital information from the builder and then you're distributing out to your crews with paper, you're gonna continue to spend more resources within your business to manage that paper, and you're going to make more mistakes that is going to be costly to your business. So the chaos with the paper, to your question, John, that usually involves one or many people that are logging into builder portals, collecting builder emails, and grabbing paper that is printed and shuffling the paper around.
And what about construction drawings? Is that part of the exchange? And I really don't know how often CDs change over the course of a project or how frequently that happens. And I've heard that they don't change enough.
From a builder perspective, what the majority of, and this is like the purchase order conversation earlier, different builders will do this different ways.
Yep.
Some builders will redline an initial plan for every single change that happens, which means if I'm going to add something to the plan that was not there in the beginning, I'll make a red line drawing of it to show you what the changes are. And if it's big enough, I'll redraw the project for you. And then there's plan management that goes along with that. The majority of the time, what we see is that we're just talking about optional changes that don't really change the floor plan a whole lot, but these things are very important. I have a customer that does mirrors and shower doors. And so there's not floor plan drawings that change for them, but what they need to be able to do is they need to be able to pull the floor plan of the bathroom up, make measurements on it, and draw on that plan themselves. And so they can upload those types of drawings themselves into Bolt, and then they can redline it themselves and make notes on the PDF themselves. And that is contained in Bolt and available for whoever they want to see it. So not only are they getting the basic information that they need from a builder, but they can use Bolt to do their own drawings, their own red lines, their own communication to their trades. So it's all important, depending on how the builder does it, depending on your type of business. It's important to be able to manage those things, know you're looking at the latest, and in some cases, be able to edit it yourself for your business.
So I'm hearing three major streams so far. One is the POs, it's the purchasing side of things. Another is the scheduling. The third is the construction drawings. What about financial matters?
For the most part, the builders want trades to be profitable. They want the businesses to grow, and they want to do it in an efficient scale. And so that's what Bolt helps you do. And so on the Bolt side of things, you know what your cost is. You're putting your cost into the system. You know when you're going to get paid or when you should get paid. And so that helps you stay in line with that to ensure that you're on top of work that you should be getting paid for. And then what it also does for you is there's this thing called extras. So sometimes there might be a variance, which is a mistake or something that the builder did wrong. And they may need trade partners to come out and fix the problem or do it the right way. And now that's not just an automatic PO. Somebody actually has to put together, some builders call it EPO or VPO. They have to put these things together to make sure the trade is going to get paid for these extras, right? So these extras happen all the time. Sometimes trades get so busy, they forget to maybe bill for the extras. Maybe the builder forgets to put the extra in their system. So Bolt will allow you to put these into your system so that you can assure that you're going to get paid for that extra work, that unplanned work that you're doing. That's an important part. And then you want to link this together with your back office accounting system so that it automates all the way in so that your invoicing can go out correctly and you can keep a good, tight handle on your financials.
So do we capture most of the benefit in terms of these communications flows with those four buckets, with the purchasing, with the scheduling, with the construction drawings, and the financial exchange? Is there any other major bucket?
So they're the baseline foundation pieces. And I'll just add to, when we think about the schedule, there's an important component there when your crews are out there on the job that you need to keep good time tracking. There are a lot of businesses out there that have piece rate type payment that needs to be made to the contractors that are doing the work, to the crews that are doing the work. And we need to be able to incorporate that time tracking into our business so that we can run an efficient business. So that'll go along with scheduling. And then I'll say that the general
an internal thing in terms of tracking the profitability of these discrete projects, the labor component that goes with that, so that it can be priced appropriately on a go-forward basis, right? Or personnel changes might need to be made, but that's kind of an internal within the trade subcontractors realm, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I need to make sure that my job cost is in line with what I budgeted and what I planned, and I need to be able to pay those individuals that I have doing the work fairly and accurately. And so that time tracking allows me to do both of those things and report upon it correctly as well.
So what about non-new construction business for these trade subcontractors? How does the tool set help them on retrofit projects?
Yeah, so with retrofits, I'll kind of start on the service side that we see common. So there's a period of time that the trade is going to be responsible for servicing the job after the job is complete, and Bolt will handle all of those types of needs through that process. You know, there are trades out there that may work with remodelers or small commercial construction companies or existing homeowners on some of these larger projects. And so being able to take all of that information that we've been talking about and having it in one place, that is the same type of value that you're going to get. If I'm going to do a very low number of those jobs, then there's the cost to benefit ratio that needs to be worked out to say, should I be putting all this time into something if I'm only doing a couple of jobs? If I'm doing those jobs, the benefit of actually having that information in place and knowing exactly what to do means that the individuals that are out there working on it know exactly what they should be doing. It's in real time, and I have all of the details necessary to complete those jobs, bill for those jobs, and move forward.
What's the best way to communicate with you and your team to explore whether these solutions are apt for their company?
ECIsolutions.com/Bolt. And you can learn about what that does for the individual trades that are listed on the website. You can take a look at our case studies, and you can learn about other products that we have out there as well. There are videos and demo videos out there for you. And there is even a call to action where you can click to sign up for a demo of the product. We would love to learn more about your business and provide you with a demonstration to show you exactly how this would work specifically for your business.